Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Couch Potato Podcast, a podcast where friends shoot shit about their favorite movies. My name is Russ, and with me always is Adam. Adam, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going. Life has gotten the better of me over the past couple of weeks, but I am ready to sit down and talk about some movies.
I think the whole year so far has not been a very good year for our show, but we're working on it. We're gonna get our routine back. We're gonna get our mojo back. We were gonna do the Blues Brothers this week, but I noticed that the Academy Awards are this Sunday, and I thought it'd be a cool way to talk a little Oscars and maybe start a new episode format. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but we're going to do a Best Picture draft. We are going to pick movies. We get to choose a Best Picture winner from each decade. Rules of the game are pretty simple. You can choose one Best Picture winner from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and 2010s, and we're going to do a wild card pick where you can pick one movie that was nominated for Best Picture that lost if you decide that you want to change the outcome of that. So if, as an example, if you wanted to, you don't like Forrest Gump and you think Pulp Fiction should have won, that would be your wild card pick. So it'd be, you change the results of a Best Picture winner. So I think I explained those right. I don't know. Maybe it sounds jumbled. I don't know. But to help us on our draft, I've grabbed two of the esteemed movie professors of the town of Springfield. I have grabbed Mark Dyer, who's been a recurring guest on our show. Mark, how are you? Are you ready to draft?
Ready to draft, Russ. Thank you. Thanks for the invite, too.
Oh, anytime. And he's been on our show quite a bit the last few weeks. Steven is back with us. Steven, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm super excited to join you guys. Love talking about this. I'm really excited to cover what some of my, do my draft picks for Oscars. And it's doing great, man.
Yeah, Steven's got a whole, we are not a video podcast yet, but Steven's got a whole war room set up. It looks like he is in the Cincinnati Bengals war room getting ready to make their first round draft pick. He's got, what do they call that? Where you've got like the red lines, like they see him in a lot of crime movies where they connect the dots. Crime families. He's got that. He's got video, like 8 or 9 video screens in the board. He's got you got 12 or 13 people in your living room. Man, you are coming prepared.
Yeah. I stayed up all night preparing. It's all for show.
Oh yeah. It's job well done, sir. But just to recap, we are doing a Best Picture draft. So each one of us are going to take one movie from the Best Picture pool. We're picking them by decade, and we're doing a wild card. So I did a random draft organizer, whatever what it's called. I got on the old internet, and they have this tool where I could just randomly generate a draft order for us. So Adam, Steven, Mark, and then myself are going to be, that's the order. So Adam, you're kicking things off, followed by Steven, Mark, and then I will end each round. But for those of you that have played fantasy sports, we're doing this in a snake style draft. So I will be picking first in the second round, and then we're going to go backwards. Third round, we'll begin with Adam in the same order, and so on and so forth in that particular way till we get through the end. So I hope I've laid this out. Maybe I'll create some kind of chart to post on our social medias explaining the rules. Yeah. Or if you just listen along, the 20 people that listen to our show, if you listen along, you'll get the gist of it. After like a couple rounds, like, oh, okay, I see where they're going now. Right. But yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. You can pick if you want to start off with the 80s, you want to start off with your wild card pick, however you want to do your draft. Totally up to you. So there's no particular way we're going to do this. So without further ado, Adam, let's kick things off with the Best Picture movie draft.
Okay. So since there's no order, I'm still going to start at the beginning. I'm going to start in the 80s. And I'm actually going to be using my wild card first. I was looking at all these movies from the 80s. We have Rain Man, The Last Emperor, Platoon, Out of Africa. You know, some of those movies are great, but I'm going to have to go with Raiders of the Lost Ark for the 80s for my wild card pick.
Okay. 1980 Raiders was nominated for Best Picture, correct?
Correct.
Was that the Ordinary People year that they won?
It was 1981, and it was Chariots of Fire that one.
Okay, so you would take Raiders over Chariots of Fire.
Over Chariots of Fire, yes.
I could not agree with you more. That's an excellent pick.
Yes.
I've seen Chariots of Fire once, maybe, and I only remember the theme song. I don't remember anything from the movie.
On Golden Pond was that year too, and that was a great movie, but not Best Picture.
That's like the MCU for old people.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
one of the other movies was Reds, that was Warren Beatty.
Yeah, not about the professional baseball team from Cincinnati.
Yeah,
but
it's
about Russians.
Long, really, really, really long.
Yeah.
That's Jack Nicholson was in that too.
Yes.
All right. Well, Adam, that's an excellent pick. And I can't believe in my strategy that I did not think of that myself. So that's an excellent choice, my friend. Steven, you're up now with your first selection. I wish I had queued up the if you guys watch the ESPN NFL draft, they have that little song that plays in between draft picks. I should have done that.
Next time. Next year.
For the next one, if this is not a complete disaster and we do this format again, I'll make sure I do it.
Fine. All right. So Russ just confirmed, I just do a decade, right? Or am I doing
one from each decade?
Okay. So yeah, I think I'm going to do 90s just because that's like where most of my memory from most of the movies that I love and remember watching are from the 90s. So I think out of the 90s, I'm going to have to go with 1993 Schindler's List.
Oh, okay.
As my pick. Obviously, a fantastic movie, but it's just one that I think has just stuck with me ever since I remember seeing it for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I didn't want to see it. I can't remember what was also playing. And I had no interest in seeing it just because I was really young when it came out. But yeah, I remember, I just loved it. I was just stuffed into the story. And then that actually started this path of learning more about that period of history, because up to that point, I knew World War II happened. I knew there was a lot of awful things that happened, but I didn't really know the extent of it until I saw that movie. So,
oh yeah, like that,
fantastic.
Arguably the greatest year. I would say probably the greatest year for any director in the history of movies. Spielberg had Schindler's List and Jurassic Park that year.
Yeah,
number one movie at the box office. He won best picture and best director at the Academy Awards.
The other movies for best picture that year was The Fugitive, In the Name of the Father, The Piano, and Remains of the Day.
Now, see, so any other year, if Schindler's List was not in that category, I would my wild card would have been The Fugitive. But I cannot argue with Schindler's List. That's like probably the last 30 years. That's probably like one of the most slam dunk picks. Not even remotely debatable best picture winners in the last 30 years, for sure.
I'm still considered one of the best movies of all time as well, easily.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent pick. Mark?
Well, I'm going to jump to the 2000s, and I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Okay. That's a good one.
While there were a lot of movies, of that era that are really good, I think this picture was like, as we all know, this is a 3-picture movie series, and this one like topped it, and it won everything that year pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So it was well deserving. It's a good movie, has great replay value. And we'll probably also, do the test of time as well, as long as the other Lord of the Rings stuff doesn't, crush it. So
I feel like everyone has taken a peek at my list, and
I have no idea. Yeah, well, Steven's got he's got a whole team, so I'm sure they probably hacked into your phone or your computer, and they've already seen everything.
I had somebody running surveillance on you for about a week.
Yeah, like Steven is bound and determined to win this tonight. Great pick. I actually had that on one of my possibilities for the 2010.
back up, yeah.
So
My 90s was Steven's pick, so I mean, without a doubt.
all right, let me write yours down here because like I said, I'm putting these on the socials, and we'll let you guys and gals vote on your winners. So I guess that means I'm up now, right?
Yep.
Well, for my first pick, Mark, you said that Schindler's List is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to also make my first pick one of the greatest movies of all time from the 1970s. I am taking The Godfather.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's good.
it was tough between that and the sequel, but I mean, I've always felt The Godfather kind of is like, I guess the Godfather per se of like modern film. It kind of ushered in a new era of movies, which is kind of evolved from that. But yeah, to me, like, it had to be The Godfather. Plus, it's like in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So,
yeah.
But
easily quotable too.
Oh yeah.
You quote something out of that movie, people know it. They get it.
And I think at some point this year, we need to do The Godfather Part 2.
Yes. Agreed.
Are you leaving 3 purposefully?
Huh?
Are you leaving 3 out purposefully?
I've always felt that if Godfather 3 was not called The Godfather 3, it would probably be remembered more favorably. But the fact that it had to follow up the first 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take Sofia Coppola out of it, it's not a bad movie. But yeah,
I think I just saw that was actually nominated for Best Picture in 1990, though.
Yeah, it was.
So that's a good chunk of time between movies too. So yeah.
Is that the only trilogy that's been nominated every single time? Because I don't. Oh wait, no. Lord of the Rings was nominated every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings got them too, and then yeah, I think that's it.
That's crazy.
No love for Empire.
Well,
sad face. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm kicking off round 2, so I'm just going through my list of movies here, and I was going to pull a page out of Adam's book and maybe do a wild card out of the 80s, but I think I'm going to save it. I think for my 90s Best Picture winner, I'm going to take The Silence of the Lambs.
Man.
So
that's a good one.
Yeah, the 90s is fucking stacked, so that was tough. But I'm like, man, like if I'm going to take one out of that, it was close between that and another film. But The Silence of the Lambs, that movie still to this day is just it's peak thriller. And the fact of the matter is, it's really like, I know some people consider it a horror movie, but it's really a horror thriller. Probably, yeah, it is the only Best Picture winner out of that genre, if I'm not mistaken, unless I'm missing something, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
You're right.
So, yep.
The thing that made that movie stick was that if you watch a movie, say in February when it came out, or January, I can't remember, one of those 2 months it came out, by summertime, it's forgot, a little bit.
Well, especially today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, but this thing stuck around so long that there was no doubt Anthony Hopkins was going to win that Oscar. I mean, without a doubt, because it was a character that stuck with everybody. It was like, oh, we just created another Darth Vader
Mm-hmm.
and didn't know we did it.
Well, not only that
so
too. I
good.
think it's the last movie to win Best Picture, Actor, Actress, and Director.
Probably.
So
I'm gonna have to look.
But yeah, those are my first two picks. So Mark, before you look into that, you were up next with your second selection.
You know what? I'm gonna go back into the 90s, but I'm gonna use my wild card for this one. In 1997, a little movie called Titanic came out, which won Best Picture.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. I like it.
Yeah, you do. I was so upset about this win. I know how much money it made, and it's a good movie, but LA Confidential is such a much superior movie and film that I don't, I was just taken aback. And there's people that are movie people are like, yeah, whatever. Like, you still haven't seen Titanic, Russ, and it's a good movie, but LA Confidential, way better.
Yeah,
and definitely way better. Like, replay value, makes it stand that test. We got a young Russell Crowe that was just so like raw in the whole movie.
Yeah, he was a wrecking ball in that.
I mean, just great. And of course, Danny DeVito narrating the film, which he does in a lot of movies, but this one just is much better, And of course, Kim Basinger won the Oscar for it. And I think, didn't they win best? I think they won best screenplay too.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, and that was I forgot the director's name. And mostly I forgot his name because that's what I do lately.
That's names. Curtis Hanson that directed that.
Curtis Hanson, yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, he passed away several years ago. So
Good Will Hunting. That's Good Will Hunting year, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a great year.
So it did not win best original screenplay then, because that's what Good Will Hunting won.
Mm-hmm. And Russ, did I hear you haven't watched Titanic?
No, I made a pact with two of my friends, which I'm sure they have probably broken long ago, because both of them are married.
Russ and I have gone back and forth about this, that he eventually needs to watch it simply because it's James Cameron film. And as far as living filmmakers, Cameron still stands high up there. I mean, I know there's a lot of little guys out there making some decent pictures, but I mean, it's still a good movie. Still entertaining. It does skirt the history a little bit, but still, watchable.
Yeah.
Well, it's really funny when that guy hit the propeller.
Made a pact to never watch it.
I did. We made a pact.
Was there spit and a handshake involved? Well, never. Yeah.
No, it wasn't anything like that. It might be blackmail involved. I don't know.
They probably should have put that on the video store just so you watched it. So,
I don't. I'm trying to think if I worked. Yeah, I did, and I think we just couldn't keep it in stock. And then by that time, like, I don't fucking care.
So that's one of my best blockbuster stories. Is that I was working at a store in Columbus and Reynoldsburg, and this guy, his name's Mark Kaler, who'd taken over the store. And this guy'd run video stores like in the Midwest, like his own stores. Comes in and does pre-orders for Titanic. And the dude, like, this store, we crushed other entire districts in pre-sales in this movie. It was insane. But Blockbuster loved this movie so much that they played the friggin' song every 45 minutes. Every 45 minutes, we could sing the damn thing. Celine Dion.
Also, that was kind of like your.
Yeah, it was petty torture is what it was, but it's just,
that was your Michael McDonald song from the 40-year-old version. I forget the name of the song playing that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I like that pick. I would have done the same thing. As a matter of fact, that was on my list of possible wild card picks. Was that one? So, Steven?
Kim Basinger would have shared the door. Anyway,
all right, Steven, you're up now, man.
I actually have a big giant disc of Kim Basinger in the other room from a Blockbuster when we closed one of my stores. So that's got to put up in here somewhere.
On 9.5 weeks.
I wish I had that one, but no. LA Confidential is a good shot of her. So
Nice.
Well, Steven, you're up now.
Yeah. So I'm going to go 2000s.
Okay.
And a lot to choose from here, but I'm going to choose Russ. I think this is one I saw with you. 2000 Gladiator.
Shit. That's an excellent one. Yeah.
Like that is one of my top favorite movies, but then it's also like a movie like when I think about the 2000s era, that's one of the movies that's like in my head that represents that timeline for me.
Oh yeah, that's definitely like in terms of pop culture that one's like early 2000s, like that late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, Gladiator's definitely on that list.
Yeah.
That actually on my notes I have the movies I was going to take 1 through 4, and for the 2000s Gladiator was like my number one pick for this decade. So
I had a few that I had a hard time choosing between 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I had the hardest time choosing for.
That was a good pick though, man.
Those 20 years of a block of movies is really good. We get into the later years and it's a little bit harder.
I was thinking, I don't know if it's because like the quality, like the movies have changed, or if it's me. Like I feel like maybe I hit this point in my life to where like movies, it was just like I had planned my life around seeing movies. I think so. It's hard for me to tell, like if like after like from 2010 on, if I just like movies changed or if it's like me that changed.
Oh no, it's
a little
definitely
bit
the
both.
movies that have changed. I actually sent Russ a really cool video about cinematography and how it's changed and made movies look more gray and kind of washed out. And it's definitely movies. Like they've gotten to be kind of like the products that's cranked out on a conveyor belt, and then he's like, okay, well, let's push this to the masses, see if it makes billions of dollars. That sort of thing. It's not art like it was anymore, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I think I have my Gladiator story. The same week Gladiators released, another movie came out, which you guys have heard of, which was definitely not a Best Picture winner, but Battlefield Earth actually opened this very same day as Gladiator, and my ex-wife and I saw Battlefield Earth first, and we actually had time, so we turned around and saw Gladiator, and it saved the day.
Good deal.
Wow.
Good deal.
Yeah, I remember seeing Gladiator. I had just broken up with a girlfriend, and I was kind of in the dumps, and my buddies, the same guys I made the Titanic pact with, were like, you need to go see a movie. Like, and Jeff, Steven knows what I'm talking about. He goes, I'm taking you to see Gladiator now. I'm like, all right. And that definitely perked my spirits up. So yeah,
you should look it up, man. That's a cool movie.
Yeah, and it's I fucking adore Gladiator. Like to this day, it's still like I would not put it in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, but if I ever catch any bit of it on TV, like, all right, I'm locked in for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm watching it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so excellent choice, Steven. Next two picks are for Adam.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got a wild card so far, and that's it.
Yeah, I've got a wild card so far, and everybody else picked all of my stuff. So, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 2000s for this pick. Now we're just gonna go kind of. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. We're gonna go back to the 70s.
Okay.
Because there's some stuff in the 70s that deserves some attention here. Let's see here. I'm going to go through my nominees here. I think I'm going to go with Rocky for my 70s pick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
I mean, okay, so let's be fair. Drago is cool. Mr. Tio is always a cool bad guy. But I mean, let's be real. The first Rocky, where you think he's going to win and then he doesn't win, but he made it there, so it feels like he won anyways. That it's such a good feeling at the end of the movie.
You are probably going to hate me for this take, but I don't think Rocky should have won Best Picture this year.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And why not, sir?
Well, I'll give you a couple of movies that were nominated this year. All the
Okay.
President's Men.
Mhm.
It's like that's apex for like investigative
good.
news
Yeah.
reporting movies.
Mhm.
Taxi Driver
Mhm.
was also nominated this year for Best Picture, as was Network.
All great movies, but can they be in 2025? Can they be memeable online? No.
Well,
Not like Rocky.
Taxi Driver, definitely. Taxi Driver has
Okay.
had legs.
Yeah.
You talking to me? One of the most iconic film lines of all time.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
But I
I'm
mean,
gonna
still
go with
great
Rocky.
choice. I will put it to you like this. I had it on my list.
Okay.
If you
All
guys would have taken the other three movies from the 1970s from me, that was my go-to, was Rocky.
right. Okay.
I remember All the President's Men from Film Studies. The Samosky.
That's how I seen it, and I fucking love that movie. I just watched that like maybe about a year ago, and it still fucking holds up. Still really,
That's
really good.
that's how I learned about the Watergate scandal. Up to that point, I had no idea that thing even happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
All you needed was Bob Redford and Dustin Hoffman. All right, Adam, what's your second choice for
Okay, so we're gonna go up to the 2000s. Like I said, I was gonna do that before, but we're gonna go there now. Everybody took all of my choices, so this is my last choice for the 2000s. It's not my first choice. It's not my second choice, but we're gonna go with 2001, A Beautiful Mind.
Okay. Why A Beautiful Mind? That's that one I feel hasn't aged very well in terms of like, I know I've seen like some lists where that one is kind of disputed as like the best picture winner.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, though, looking at the nominees, there's only one.
It was a pretty meh year. And I feel like the acting in it was really, really good. And usually when the movie doesn't draw me in, like I said, this is not my first pick. The acting does, and it was a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Hey, you know what? It's your choice at the end of the day.
Russell Crowe's always a good watch. I mean, he was in an LA Confidential. So.
Oh, this was like, you're like in peak Russell Crowe, like his prime, because he had A Beautiful Mind. Then the year before he had Gladiator. Then the year before he had The Insider, which I think he should have won Best Actor for that, because he's fucking incredible in The Insider.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have. I know Mark has. I don't have to ask him if he's seen something.
Yeah,
but The Insider's really good. It's about the big tobacco scandals.
Him and Al Pacino.
Yeah, one of Al Pacino's last great roles too. All right,
but yeah, I think Beautiful Mind. Ron Howard's great. And
he won the Oscar for that too. So
yeah, and
Ron Howard did, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge Jennifer Connelly fan, but it was still great acting.
Yeah, don't you dare say that. Russ, you mentioned that hasn't aged well. What do you mean by that? What have you?
Well, I mean, like I haven't seen it in a long time. I've read stuff, like I go through. Actually, when I decided to do this episode, I just kind of like worst best picture winners, and that movie come up, and a lot of it just, I guess apparently it's not very accurate historically, and it's kind of over romanticized and a bit hammy. But looking at the other nominees that year, like the only one that I would have picked over that would have been the first Lord of the Rings. But obviously they were going to reward Return of the King as the whole franchise, so that had no chance of winning anyways.
And to be fair, I already used my wild card, otherwise I would have done it. But I feel like other movies do that too, like the Greatest Showman. Like P.T. Barnum was a douchebag, and that movie makes him out to be some kind of diversity hero. So he's definitely not. I wish he was, but no.
Oh yeah, and
Uh,
as we'll find out later on with maybe somebody's wild card, diversity heroes might be a recurring theme coming up in the 2000s.
Yeah,
All
Russ,
right.
for me, I think A Beautiful Mind is something like I remember watching that, and then you see a film that's based on a true story, and I just assumed all that was true. Like the characters and the people he
It's
was seeing.
based on a true story, but they take a
And
lot of
then you read
liberties.
and you're like, oh no, he never thought that there were people who actually existed in the world who didn't actually exist, right? Like he suffered through that. So yeah, that's what I just feel like they over exaggerated the mental illness, what he was suffering through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
kind of devalues the picture though by saying, "No, this wasn't how it actually happened." Though, so
Yeah.
calling it best picture is kind of so.
But so yeah, the still a good pick though. I still remember it being a good movie. Just I haven't revisited it in a while. It's not like a Russell Crowe movie. Who like at the time Russell Crowe was my dude. It's not one that
Yeah.
when I'm in the mood for a Russell Crowe movie. It's generally not the first one or the second or the
Yeah.
third or the fourth.
Oh man, well, see, like I said, it wasn't my first pick or my second pick, but it's a pick, and I do like Russell Crowe. I did like his acting, and
I just remember now talking through this, Russ, actually A Beautiful Mind's what I saw with you, not Gladiator. I didn't watch. I think I watched A Beautiful Mind's the movie.
Because I know I've seen Gladiator a couple of times. I figured you probably did go see it with me.
Oh, you know what? I think I didn't see. I think we saw A Beautiful Mind for the first time together. I think you're right. Because usually, if I saw a movie with you, you'd already seen it at least once, sometimes twice. I remember for Forrest Gump, for example, that was your third showing of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, hell, yeah, let's go see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. It's what we all did when we were younger. So went to the movies. This is before Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption come out. Of course, Pulp Fiction changed my life in October of that year. Steven, as a matter of fact, you're up next with your next pick.
Listen, I think for this one, I'm going to throw my wild card in.
Okay.
Wait, actually, let me make sure. Did somebody do, shoot, sorry. Hold on one second. I'm trying to keep track of the years we did. Are we on?
Oh, I've got them all written down here. So right now you've only taken the 70s, or no, you've taken the 90s and the 2000s.
Okay. So, so can I do 90s in this round?
Yeah, as long as it's not 93.
Okay, so perfect. So 90s this round. I'm going to throw my wild card in. This is crazy.
If I've already done a wild card, can he do another one?
No, he hasn't done a wild card yet.
Okay, so he can do a wild card for the 90s. All right, gotcha.
Yeah,
the 90s, 1998, winner was Shakespeare in Love. And whatever, I get it. I understand. Okay, it's fine. But I feel like out of everything, I think Saving Private Ryan should have won.
Yeah.
I understand. Like, usually gritty war movies don't get win. And I think it was cool that it was nominated, but there's a few of them, Russ, to you. Like, I love Forrest Gump, but I think Pulp Fiction should have won. I feel so much very strongly about that
Let me put it to you like this. This one here, I didn't even put it on my list because I knew somebody was going to take it. So I'm like, I'm not even going to fuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my wild card. And here's the thing: I didn't know. I didn't know how much this. I think goes into the politics of it too, right? It's just there's a lot of influencing that can be done.
Miramax did a better. They basically did a better.
Did better politicking.
Yeah, they did a better production thing. So.
Yeah, the Weinsteins were notorious for their Oscar campaigns for their movies, and this is the prime example of it finally paid dividends for them. I haven't don't think I've ever finished Shakespeare in Love. And I think my view of that movie, I remember it being okay when I watched it, but like I'm still so pissed off that movie beat Saving Private Ryan that I just like it's always going to be in the back of my mind like you fucking stole something from Steven Spielberg and I don't like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 90s was great for Steven Spielberg, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like the second. Like I always thought Spielberg had 2 points of his career. It's like when like the late 70s into like 89, 90. Then he kind of grew up, and then he had like from like 93 through the early 2000s. Like he kind of became an adult filmmaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, that's such a good pick, and that's probably.
There's not too many movies that he has released that wasn't nominated for Best Picture for the most part that I can think of, with the exception of BFG. That one did not.
Well, I mean, he's kind of slowed down
making movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and his input hasn't been as great as it, like, it you're accustomed to. But it's also he's got like almost 30 movies under his belt.
Yeah, he doesn't really need to make anything else. So
that's a great pick, Steven. I'm fucking.
You, man.
I didn't even think to put it on there because I knew one of you guys would snatch it up. So, all right, Mark, you're up next.
I want to jump back into the 2000s, because it was a good decade. And I want to say No Country for Old Men.
That's a great one.
I think the Coen brothers were so overdue that this was, one of their better, grittier films. It was based on something else, but it was still really good. I recently watched it. We watched it again. I forgot. Well, this is really just intense. And he gave us a couple characters that were unforgettable as well. That just, blew your mind. So
that was a great year. And like that, I remember that Best Picture race, like could have went either for that or There Will Be Blood.
I actually watched those two, I think, back to back. And I'm like, yeah, that was tough. That was tough for people to try to pick one of the other. So, but yeah, the Coen brothers were way overdue for that because they were nominated for Fargo and didn't win that one, I don't think.
Fargo won Best Picture. They didn't win Best Director, though.
Right, that was it.
Yeah, that's a great one, though.
Was it? For Best Director? So, which was weird that year.
Oh, they weren't nominated for Best.
Well, maybe they were. I thought maybe I'm misremembering that. I thought that it was nominated for Best Picture, but he wasn't even in the nomination for Best Director. But maybe I might be misremembering that.
Oh yeah, still though. I mean, like Fargo's great, but yeah, I think they were kind of long overdue. Yeah, No Country for Old Men still like for like modern day Western, just a phenomenal film. That's a great pick, and that's actually,
and I actually jumped between that one, and I almost said Departed, but
well,
and I love Marty, but I don't know. Departed is also a remake, if you will. So good movie, but it's what it is.
Well, it's a good thing you said the Departed because that's my pick because you guys have taken all my other 2000s picks. So, yeah, The Departed. I fucking love The Departed. I mean, I know it's a remake of is it Infernal Affairs? But I still fucking love The Departed. It's a movie that like it's kind of like Gladiator. If I see part of it on TV, I'm going to sit and watch 20 minutes of it. Whether it's like the bar scene where Jack's crushing Leo's broken hand, or the death of Captain Queenan, or even like the finale. It's just a incredibly rewatchable movie. I mean, it's sad that I don't think in terms of Martin Scorsese's filmography, like this shouldn't have been the first movie he ever won like a Best Director for. But it also goes to show you how strong his work is that, he won for The Departed. But yeah, The Departed's my my first pick, just because you guys stole my other ones, and I think that's like probably the last of the great 2000s Best Picture winners. I might be missing one, but
I picked 4 on my list just so I had some variety of movies that I liked.
well, since the 2000s is taken, what else did you have on yours?
I actually had Chicago on there.
See, I would take The Departed over Chicago any day of the week.
I mean, yeah, it's lower on my list, but if you're gonna like add it to the conversation, the music will have been, I don't know, not so strong by that time, but like Richard Gere was robbed of his Oscar then because he's so good in it. You know,
I think for me, we've named for the 2000s, each of us have named something, and then the next one on my list that hasn't been named would be Crash.
Of what?
So for the 2000s, I think like between mine and then what everyone else has chosen for the 2000s, that was on my list. And then I was just saying that like what Crash would be the next one after everything that has been named for 2000.
Crash.
Yeah.
Crash.
Oof, I don't know about the Crash. That's
I love that.
Really.
It's not terrible, but everything else that's on the 2005 list is a better movie in my opinion. We got that year was Brokeback Mountain, Capote, Good Night and Good Luck, and Munich.
I would have taken Brokeback Mountain over Crash. And Munich's a fucking low-key banger. Munich's fucking awesome.
It is really good, yeah.
I mean, Capote and Good Night and Good Luck are both great too, honestly.
I was working for Blockbuster at the time when Crash won Best Picture, and they had produced the picture, so it was kind of like, for the company, it was a big win. So
I remember, like,
no, I agree.
Crash has that vibe to it, though. It's like, as long as you like, it's like, oh, you're a racist. That's not a big deal. You'll find something to redeem yourself.
I haven't rewatched it anytime soon, though, but I've had the opportunity, just haven't really, dropped the handle and say, I'm going to watch this.
I found out today that Crash was the very first movie Best Picture winner ever released on Blu-ray.
I see, but I'm mistaking. I'm mistaking Crash for Traffic.
Okay, Traffic is good.
Okay, so when you guys are like, say, I just when I saw the name Crash, like I had Benicio del Toro, I had that whole movie in my head, and you guys are saying that, I'm like, I think I might be misremembering this. And
he's talking about the Cronenberg film, Russ. That's what he's talking about.
Jesus
See, it's these one word titles that are throwing me off.
Let's see. Yeah.
Never mind. Forget what I said. Yeah, I was mistaken. Yeah, when I saw what I was thinking of Traffic instead of Crash. Never mind.
Yeah, Traffic was nominated the same year as Gladiator. And Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's a fucking good year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and Aaron Brockovich was part of that too.
2000s.
Need to fire a couple members of your team back there, Steven.
Yeah.
I think I'm the one fired.
All right. Well, for my next pick, I'm dipping into the 2010s, which not a great decade, I don't think, in terms of like the Best Picture winners. A lot of great movies out of that decade, but I'm taking Parasite.
Okay, that's a good one.
Parasite's fucking amazing. Steven, have you ever seen it yet?
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go a different way, but I think out of the Best Picture winners of the decade, I think Parasite's probably the number one Best Picture winner out of that decade. I mean, there's been some great movies, but
let's see. We got the Moonlight, The Shape of Water, Green Book, Parasite, Spotlight, Birdman, 12 Years a Slave, Argo. Argo's pretty good.
Yeah, Argo would be.
Yeah. The Artist and The King's Speech are the last two for that decade.
The Artist.
No, you're right. Parasite's the best one in that decade.
But yeah, uh, Parasite for me was just like that was the easy pick for the 2010s. I'm actually surprised no one else grabbed it yet, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
But well, Mark, you are up now with your next selection.
Okay.
And you've picked so far the 2000s, the 2010s. You've got a wild card pick.
My wild card was LA Confidential, though,
Correct.
in the 90s.
Yep. So you've got like you've 70s, 80s, and 90s still to choose.
70s. I want to do the 90s with Unforgiven. We love that movie.
That was my number 2 pick out of the 90s was Unforgiven.
Yeah.
That was 3 for me, Russ. And I think that's another one I saw with you.
Oh, yeah, dude. I know for a fact it was because I couldn't get anybody to go see it with me. And you were always fucking game to go see anything that wasn't like an action movie or a comedy. Like I could always count on you. Like, oh, I know Steven will go see one of my nerdy art house prestige movies. So, hey, Steven, you want to go see Unforgiven, a rated R Western?
Yeah. I don't know anything about it, but yes, I'm in.
I don't know if it was arty at all, but
well, no, I meant like my group of friends, like we would gravitate towards be like comedies or horror movies or like action flicks. Unforgiven is one that like wasn't like, you know, you get your buddies that like, hey, you want to go see a movie? Yeah, let's go see Unforgiven. It wasn't something that they would go see. And like I've told the story on the episode, like I seen Pulp Fiction by myself because no one wanted to go see it with me. So it tells you the group of people I hung out with. Great people, but
my friend George and I think a couple other people saw Unforgiven when it opened down Dayton because it had to be seen. Because Clint Eastwood's direction had been getting better and better, and this was, you know, obviously one of his best movies. It's one of the better soundtracks of a Western, and we have to actually thank Mr. Costner for like bringing the Western back in the limelight a little bit. And then when did Tombstone come out? Did it come out after or before?
Tombstone that helped was... it a little bit.
It was after, wasn't
90... it? Yeah, because it was before Wyatt Earp come out, and I think Wyatt Earp was what 95.
I don't remember the dates.
Or 93. No, Wyatt Earp was 93, I think.
But it also was one of those things that it summed up like Clint Eastwood's Western career. Mm-hmm. You know, it is man with no name. We gave him a name, but he's just, you know, you could see it all the lines in his face, like worn and torn, and it was a good story. It still stands up as a good movie. So
I think it's Clint Eastwood's best movie.
Without argument.
Great pick. And like I said, yeah, it was my number 2 on my list. It was number 3 on Steven's. I don't know where it was, if Adam had it on his.
Yeah, it was on mine as well. Okay. It wasn't number 2 or 3, but it was on mine.
What say you, Steven? Was it on your list?
Yeah, he had it at number 3.
Yeah, third on mine, 90s, yep.
All right. Well, speaking of Steven, you were up next. You've got 70s, 80s, and the 2010s yet to go.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to go 2010s. As I look at those, I think somebody mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna go Argo. Like my favorite. It's probably my favorite movie from that era. Right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a hard time choosing between that. So there are 3 in the 2000s, but Argo is the one that's my favorite.
Hey, so that's Argo. Fuck yourself. Oh, Argo is great. I fucking love Argo. And as a matter of fact, I have it on a list of movies we plan on doing this year. So Argo's coming.
Yeah, I think it's a cool film, and then just like the story it's based off of is just like it's just mind blowing. Like I couldn't imagine being any of those people in that situation, and then the person trying to trying to facilitate the whole facade of a film crew, man. I loved it.
I know the material itself's kind of serious, but it's got some like, it's a fun Best Picture winner. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Best Picture winners just so like heavy handed. This one's kind of got a little bit of a lightness to it. I mean, considering the subject matter at hand, but yeah, Argo's a fun movie, and great pick, and it would have been it was my number 2 pick in the 2010s.
Yeah.
If someone would have grabbed Parasite, I definitely was going to snatch up Argo.
Yeah.
It definitely showed that Ben Affleck he can direct and he could act. I mean, sort of act, but I mean, he's always wanted to be taken more seriously, if you will, but he always said that, was what Kevin Smith always said about him. He said, yeah, Ben Affleck would do a money picture and then an art picture. And that was how he worked. But this one was one that did both for him. So,
yeah. And then he got even better with his next movie. So, The Town for the commoners.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
But yes, the great pick, Steven. I definitely had that on my board. Adam, you've got the next 2 picks. You've still got 80s, 90s, and the 2010s.
Okay. Can you list off for me what we have in the 90s? Because there's a lot that has been picked from the 90s.
In terms of like what's won in the 1990s?
What's already been picked?
All right, 1990.
What's already been picked? Yeah.
All right, in the 1990s, Steven took Schindler's List. Mark took Unforgiven, and I took Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. Okay. Well, I don't know if you had a wild card set up for this, Russ, but I'm going to take 94 and say Forrest Gump.
You know what? Forrest Gump, I actually had as number 4 on my board. If you guys would have taken my other 3, I was going to take Forrest Gump. And as much as I've bashed and shit on Forrest Gump here on the show when we've done Shawshank and Pulp Fiction, I really like Forrest Gump a lot.
Russ, we've seen it at least twice. Like, I know I've seen it with you at least twice, probably more than that. That was one film that we're like, hey, we don't have shit going on. You want to go see Forrest Gump again?
Yeah, Steven almost choked to death on popcorn at one showing at Forrest Gump, too. Our friend Jeff had to give a Heimlich maneuver.
Oh, yeah, I had my life saved that day. Yeah.
If Lucas was here, he would have jumped through the screen at Russ.
He knows better than you.
I think that Shawshank should have won this year, and I know everybody else thinks Pulp Fiction should. I love Pulp Fiction. I think but I'm doing this for Lucas. I'm gonna pour one out for my homie.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was a great Best Picture year. Quiz show, underrated Robert Redford movie. It probably would have been a stronger contender in most years. And then I think 4 Weddings and a Funeral was the other one nominated that year.
Yeah, it was.
And that's even a good movie. So, but
yeah, that was a tough year.
But
that was a tough year to choose.
Well, I'm always going to be in the Pulp Fiction camp simply because Pulp Fiction kind of changed the way I watched movies. And I watched it at the right time in my life. So, but yeah, it's still a good pick though. I don't think anyone's going to argue Forrest Gump.
No.
Yeah.
Though mental note, Russ, The Town came before Argo, by the way.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. You said that, and I went, that doesn't sound right.
I thought.
Yeah, he directed The Town in 2010, then did Argo in 2020 or 2012.
Okay. Well, The Town still is the best movie, but that's neither here nor there. All right, Adam, you your next pick.
My next pick, okay. Let's see. I have the 80s and the 2010s left. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Can you remind me what has been picked in the 80s? We're getting to the point where I'm not paying attention to what everybody's picked. Can you remind me?
Nothing has been picked in the 80s yet.
Nothing's been picked in the 80s. You had the wild card in the 80s.
Okay,
nothing has been picked in the 80s yet.
Okay. I had a couple for this. Like Rain Man was like going to be there just because it was like one of those movies that, everybody gravitated towards. It lost out though to Platoon. So, in my opinion, Platoon's a better movie.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with Platoon.
Yeah.
The first that was the movie that introduced me to the war genre. Was Platoon, and I still say it's probably like in that genre still one of my top 5 favorite of all time.
I was going to say it holds up really, really well.
And when I wrote it down on my phone a second ago, I wrote it down as Plantoon, which I don't know what that even is. But
yeah, that's another one I watched that was at school. I think it was I can't remember that it was.
They showed that at school.
Mr. Broering. I don't know. Yeah,
oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Broering.
Never mind. Say no more.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was probably just like shit. I don't have a lesson planned for today. Platoon. Fuck it. Let's do Platoon.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great movie to watch in school, but
that was that was like 3 days I remember watching that. Yeah.
Well, I know for my senior year, our government teacher showed us JFK, which I was just like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
And because she was trying to talk to us, like, like this movie is a bit controversial and it takes some liberties. I just raised my hands like, this movie's awesome. Just hit play. And me and Jeff kept doing the back and to the left. We got in trouble, but still. Yeah, great choice. That was my number 1 pick of the 80s was Platoon.
Ditto.
Yep.
So, Steven, you're up now. You've got 70s and 80s yet to go.
Ooh, man. Okay. I can't do 70s because all mine have been chosen.
There's still some great movies left in the 1970s.
See what I have for 70s.
Patton's really good.
So we got Godfather. We have Rocky, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Godfather and Rocky. I mean, honestly, I want to say Godfather Part 2 would be my third one.
I was going to say The Godfather 2 is, I'm actually surprised it lasted as long as it did.
Yeah, that'd be my one. That'd be it for me.
Honestly, it would have been the one I would have chosen over the original, but I mean, I had to go with the OG. Although I think The Godfather 2 is a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
wait, Russ, in what way? Like it just in terms of,
I think storytelling.
Yeah, it's
storytelling. Yeah,
and they interweave the Vito story with Michael's current story. I mean, it blends together so perfectly.
Yeah.
I like watching it. I still have it on my DVR, but they every great once in a while they'll run The Godfather. I forget what they call the cut, but it's like the Corleone saga or something like that. But they show Godfather 1 and 2 together, but they cut it to where it follows Vito's story and then it goes into Michael. So you get.
I think it's at least saw Coda. They had it on sale on Vudu or Fandango now.
Coda
for $5.99.
Coda's the Godfather 3, the new cut Coppola did a couple of years ago for Godfather 3. This one's like I think it's called the Corleone cut or the Legacy cut or something like that.
I vaguely remember that we had that when they still had VHS tapes. They had like a 3-box set that they did of both those movies. It was huge. So,
but yeah, you can if you catch it, I highly recommend recording it. It's a great way to watch the movie. But yeah, The Godfather 2, like I still baffled that it lasted as long as it did. I think it's like that one's probably, in terms of the best picture winners of that decade, it's probably the number 1 selection out of that year.
Yeah.
Or out of that decade, anyways. It was obviously the number 1 pick of that year, 1 best picture for crying out loud. But excellent choice, Steven.
Yeah.
Mark, you're up now.
I'm going to jump up to 2010s. I want to go with The Shape of Water.
You've already got a 2010 selection.
I do.
Yeah, you've got the Lord of the Rings.
No, that's
2000s.
2000s. That's 2000s.
Well,
2005.
you've got No Country for Old Men in the 2000s.
You let me pick two then.
All right, well, you
Let's
got to
see.
give up one of them.
Well, I would definitely give up No Country. That's for sure.
All right, well, let me put the Lord of the Rings in the 2000s, and you're taking The Shape of Water in the 2010s?
Yes.
All right. I have nothing good to say about that movie, but
No.
You don't like
give me
it?
I hate The Shape of Water.
Why?
Shape of Water.
I just don't think it's very good, and maybe this could be a spoiler, but my wild card could be choosing another movie out of that. It's definitely not the best picture the year that it won. Definitely not.
I liked
I think
it.
I know
It
what
was.
movie that you're going to pick, Russ.
I mean, I thought it was a great monster movie with a love story thrown into it that was just creepy, but I don't know, good. It's Guillermo del Toro's,
I don't know.
good movie. I mean,
The fish fucking movie just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. I was into it up until that point, and then like, oh,
Well,
okay.
like you can throw that kind of sex scene in a movie as long as it's The Shining and it's a weird fucking scene. But not for your Oscar winning movie.
well, it won, so that says something.
Well, we have had a talks before that if we could retroactively go back and choose the Oscar winners from like 5 years in the future, I honestly don't think that one would win.
I feel like some of those years in the 2010s and everything.
Yeah. Okay, Russ.
2010s.
Russ,
It was like.
I'm gonna have to look. I looked at the list just now and I went, yeah, okay, you're right. Definitely right. You're definitely right. I'm not going to argue the point, not even with a doubt.
See, he knows what I just saw too. He knows what movie.
Oh, I know. I looked. I'm like going, oh yeah, and my mind's going, why did I even put that on there? Like, why did that win compared to? Say it, Russ. Say it.
Well, I'm going to save it because I guess it is my turn.
You do it because I want to hear it.
All right. My wild card selection is I would take the best picture win away from The Shape of Water, and I would give it to Get Out.
There you go.
Or if Get Out, Dunkirk. Either one of those are
I was going to say.
God, you said Get Out. I'm like going, what? That's not what I thought you'd say. I thought you'd say Dunkirk because it's Christopher Nolan.
I don't know. Dunkirk and Get Out were my two favorite movies of that year, so it's hard to
Get Out. Great.
Yeah, Get Out. That's a tour de force.
Yeah,
Dunkirk's really good too. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna give it to Get Out though, simply because for the horror genre, like you said, with Silence of the Lambs, the only thriller horror movie to ever win Best Picture, and I think Get Out should have been the second.
Yeah.
It's just such a smart movie.
And that was his first like major directorial debut, like that his first one, like out of the gate. Like,
and he's known for being like part of a comedy team, so he came out of nowhere. Like
that's resonates with me because I'm just like, man, he has been thinking about that for a long time. To be able to, it's phenomenal. It's just amazing.
And he's proven he's not a one trick, like not like a one hit wonder. His follow ups have been not Get Out good, but still pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Dunkirk though, like it's close. It's like a piece of deli sliced meat thin. The margins on Dunkirk, because I'm a Chris Nolan fanboy. I'm not gonna fucking hide it. Dunkirk's fucking amazing too. And that's a movie that, to me, it's gotten better the more I've rewatched it. So I would take either one of those over The Shape of Water. But for this
Nolan's great,
exercise,
yeah.
I'm going to give it to Get Out. Simply because first time Jordan Peele movie.
100%. Yep. I'm with you.
Just an incredibly smart, thought-provoking movie, and the fact that that genre doesn't get honored very often by the Academy. So Get Out would be my wild card. And so that leaves me with my last pick of the draft in the 1980s. I'm going to take the second best movie from that decade. I'm taking Rain Man.
Mhm.
Okay.
And Rain Man's good, but I think it's just lack of options. The only other movie I may have considered would have been Terms of Endearment. And I only remember that because I watched it as a kid, and the Deborah Winger death scene, like, I watched it at like a friend's house. Like his mom and dad were watching it, and like I was kind of sad when the Deborah Winger character died. I'm like, this sucks. Why are you guys watching this movie? But yeah, my last pick is Rain Man. Simply just because of lack of choices in the 1980s.
Yep. We all know that.
Yeah, Russ, as I was looking at like the list of winners for 1980s, that's, as I mentioned, I'm like, I've seen 4 of these movies. And yeah, so that was one of them.
Since this is the last round, Mark, I don't have a 70s or an 80s pick from you. So I'm going to let you get 2 on this.
Okay.
You've traded. You've drafted.
No, I got you.
You've offered a future first round pick to Steven to take 2 selections here.
I lost my. I had him on my 70s list. I originally had Godfather 1 and 2 and Rocky, and I had Kramer versus Kramer, but I'd rather choose the French Connection.
Oh yeah, that was the number 4 one on mine.
Gene Hackman. The pairing of Gene Hackman and Roy Schneider was just fantastic, and some of the great chase scenes in that movie were just intense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can't remember. Bullet came before it, right?
Yeah, Bullet's like 68, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, it you could say it stole things, but I mean, it made it better.
Mm-hmm.
It was very good cop movie.
That's a movie that I am thankful that I worked at a video store, because my manager, I was talking to him, like I said, I was kind of in a 70s period where I was just like watching a lot of stuff from the 70s, and I asked him for recommendations, and he told me, check out The French Connection with Gene Hackman in it. So I did, and I'm like, oh, dude, thank you so much for that. Just an incredible movie. Yeah.
And I saw it when I was older, and I'm like going, man, Lex Luthor was mean back then.
Yeah, I didn't see it till like 98 or 9. Yeah, it was like 98, I think, is when I seen it.
Right. I watched it in college when I was like getting into more serious movies. So
I think it's one of the first Blu-rays I ever bought too, was The French Connection. That's when I started like, I wonder how this looks in Blu-ray. Like,
yeah,
if the reviews say it looks like shit, I'm not buying it.
be a nice 4K movie to have too.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Mark, you've got one last pick. 1980s.
So the 80s. I had Platoon. I had Rain Man. I actually have The Last Emperor on there. The Oscars. This movie has a giant scope and scale of a small story, and Bernardo Bertolucci makes, like, when he gets going, he has really beautiful films. And Oscar movies, this is definitely a big Oscar picture. And you're right, the 80s is kind of like, I was like Steven, I haven't seen Ordinary People. I hadn't seen what's the other one that Terms of Endearment? I think I've seen it, but I don't remember it very much. Amadeus. Like Amadeus is one of those movies I could add to the Voodoo for $2, but I still haven't done it because why? There's so many other movies in the 80s that like we could have done, like should have won. Like my wild card for that was E.T. Mostly because I forgot Raiders was even nominated for some reason. It doesn't, I don't know, Raiders doesn't sit well as far as like an Oscar movie because it's such a good movie on its own. Doesn't need the Oscars to even exist because it's so good.
Yeah.
But On the Last Emperor is just it's an epic film. You know, it's not a small thing like these other stories are, but it's still really good. Hard to watch though because it is long. So, and if you ask me what happened in this scene, I'm not going to remember because it's been a while since I've actually put the disc in and went, okay, yeah, this is worth watching again.
Well, I'm looking at like some of the 80s Best Picture nominees. In 89 alone, Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture that year. But it was also up against Born on the 4th of July, Dead Poets Society, and Field of Dreams.
Right.
All three of those are much better movies than Driving Miss Daisy, I think. 88, that was Rain Man. That also had Working Girl and Mississippi Burning. Those are good movies. I think they got the Rain Man right, though. 87 was The Last Emperor, but Fatal Attraction was nominated that year. And Broadcast News, which fucking awesome. Albert Brooks performed. I love Broadcast News.
As far as the Oscars go, if you could recast something that should win, we could overhaul most of the 80s.
Yeah, like 85 was Witness. I would have taken Witness over Out of Africa. 84, I haven't seen a single one of these movies in 84.
What was that? Amadeus, Killing Fields,
Passage to India, Places in the Heart, and A Soldier Story. A couple of those sound like movies that Jerry and Elaine would go see on Seinfeld. A Passage to India definitely does.
I'd actually, one of the movies on the nominees list was Prizzi's Honor. Have you seen that?
I have seen that.
So, and I actually bought the disc when I was still at Blockbuster, and I had never really watched it. But anytime I go to watch a movie on my movie list, I'll see if I can watch digital just to be lazy, so I have to go downstairs and get the disc. And I went, this thing doesn't exist digital at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Prizzi's Honor is it's good, but it's definitely dated as a gangster type of film for sure. So, and I forgot how it ended too, but I was like, ooh, wow.
Yeah, like 82 is Gandhi won. E.T. and Tootsie and The Verdict were all nominated.
All better movies.
Oh, yeah.
Gandhi's not bad, the type of movie that it good, but they didn't want to give E.T. because it was the big box office thing. And Tootsie was more mature, would have been a more mature win, but that's still a fun movie. But yet it's also another movie, not a movie I think I own. Don't own digitally. I actually have it on VHS, believe it or not, that I got somehow.
And then 1980, the year that Ordinary People won, Raging Bull nominated.
Yeah. We won't even talk about that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Steven, speaking of the 80s, you're up. So you got...
Well, 80s is my choice, yep.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much all the restaurants are closed. You pretty much have your choice of rallies. Rallies or Hardee's is what's left.
Women and Mayonnaise.
Platoon and Rain Man, right?
And then he took The Last Emperor.
Okay. Well, I guess in that case, and this is just by default because it's the only one winner from the 80s I've seen is Driving Miss Daisy.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, again, it's default. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Actually, I think that, I can't remember. I think that was one I probably watched. I didn't want to see it. It was just on TV and I watched it and I enjoyed it. So yeah, I think out of that, this is what I was saying. Like 80s, like I know Gandhi was a big winner. Never watched it.
Mm.
I've never seen it. So yeah, like it's just so it's not out of my love for the movie. It's just by default, it's the only other one from the 80s I've seen.
Okay. Well, I can respect that. But like I was going down the list, yeah, Field of Dreams and Dead Poet Society and um what did I say? Oh, Born on the 4th of July are all much
All
better
those
movies.
all those movies are. I don't know if they're not, but Driving Miss Daisy is a bad movie. I think they have better replay value, Russ, for sure.
Oh yeah, well
Like
it's
I'm gonna.
Drive Miss Daisy is probably like the early example of the white people making they redeem themselves by befriending a minority. Starts that trend in movies.
Hey, we're not so bad.
Yeah,
We're not so bad.
it culminates with Crash, where it's like, oh, you're racist, but hey, you know what? You saved that woman that you sexually assaulted earlier in the movie. You're all right.
Driving Miss Daisy did one other thing too. It also, I hadn't seen Dan Aykroyd for a while, and it brought him back into a little bit of a limelight because he got nominated for something actually. So, of course, he has to follow it up with oh God, Big Trouble movie.
Oh, Nothing But Trouble.
Nothing But Trouble, which is atrocious. So
Thank you for saying that, because I get fucking ridiculed all the time for not liking that movie. And I said that movie, I seen it at theaters and I thought it fucking sucked.
I saw it at the State. It's one of the last movies that's there when I was working for the theater, when I worked for Checkers. I got in for free, me and my friend George. And we went, wow, that happened. What was Dan thinking?
Old vanity project.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
Adam, you are wrapping up the draft. You have to make a selection out of the 2010s.
2010s, the worst decade for these movies.
I would say the 80s, but 2010s probably a close second.
Everybody, like the artsy film critic types, I guess that would be kind of us, but we're better than that. Would say The King's Speech, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna have to go with Birdman.
Oh, okay.
agreed.
Yeah. Birdman was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie; it was one of the better movies that I've seen Michael Keaton in since the. Michael Keaton's always a good pick in a movie. Mm-hmm. But this is one of his best dramatic roles most recently, I think. So,
okay. I thought you were going to go Spotlight. Also has Michael Keaton.
Yeah, but
it's
Birdman,
on my list.
I feel like it kind of like it has that storyline where somebody's typecast, and of course he was Batman, and it just like it plays that. It plays that up, and the kind of the drama that gets tagged along with it. I love it. It's good.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and recap our selections here for the.
Plus, one of Adam's favorite movies is Batman. So the fact that it, has that aura to it.
So Batman '89 is one of my favorite movies, but I can tell you, if it's in the top 10, it's not in the top 5.
Right.
My all-time favorites. It's in top 10.
I liked Birdman because Inarritu, the director, did Babel, which is really good. The Revenant, which stands as a really solid film as well. And then oh God, there was another one that stood out I really liked that he did, which I'm looking, I can't see. 21 grams with Sean Penn is solid too. So.
All right. Well, is there anything you guys left off in the wild card that came to mind? Or I'm actually surprised that nobody chose Goodfellas over Dances with Wolves.
That was on my list. Yeah, I had that, but yeah, but for me, yeah, it was definitely I don't know, just Shakespeare in Love winning over.
Yeah, that's probably the most egregious one. I think that and then Crash beating Brokeback Mountain were probably like the two most like, what the fuck are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
Uh,
Or Annie Hall
Eh,
beating
eh,
Star Wars.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that one.
I was gonna say, yeah, okay, Mark, I'm gonna clear out the floor. I'm gonna let you cook here for a minute. I know when I asked you to come on this.
I was young. I didn't watch the Oscars when I was that old, so I wasn't mad then. I'm just more mad now, but I'm like, let it be said, Star Wars' lasting impression on our culture is far-reaching, and there's nothing really you can do to destroy Star Wars, unlike Woody Allen, who's, hey, I'm going to go sleep with my stepdaughter, and that ruins his career. So, anyhow, blah. Who cares?
I'm actually surprised you didn't choose that as your wild card. I was actually waiting for it. I devoted all right, I'm gonna let him just rant for like 10 minutes on this.
It's too obvious. And I always love to talk about LA Confidential. You ever do a show for LA Confidential? It's like, give me a reason to watch it again.
Oh yeah, I mean we'll bring you on the show when we do LA Confidential. I fucking love it too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Adam, anything you didn't
so
miss out on some picks, or is anything that you didn't get a chance to you had on your board and just didn't have enough picks to do it, or?
Well, I was upset that Schindler's List got picked but it wasn't like a wild card or anything.
It was. I think a film like that is just like whoever gets to it first, because it's definitely on
exactly.
List,
Whoever gets to that film first has the best team, because that's the best player on the team.
I don't know if you remember this, Russ. When we worked at the video store, we had our staff picks. And then Russ would do like really obscure, like, hey, not a lot of people would have seen this, so I want to put this. I chose like my favorite. So like Schindler's List is on there, the ones everyone liked. So I judged my performance on, well, hey, look how many people are renting this. I remember Russ was like, well, yeah, because everyone knows about those movies. Right?
Yeah, not everyone's going to rent The King of New York.
Yeah.
That's great.
And plus, where we worked at too, no one's renting The King of New York. Let's be real.
That's true.
I actually did. He brought that movie up, and I'm like, I watched the director Abel Ferrara. I had to find a lot of his movies after I'd seen that. I'm like, I want to watch bunch of his movies, which wasn't a good idea eventually. So, but
yeah,
King of New York was good.
Yeah, he takes takes you to some dark places. But yeah, King of New York is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You got some Lawrence Fishburne just when he was 18, but he was 17. No, that was Platoon or
Apocalypse Now.
That was Platoon.
I was that's right.
Yeah. He lied about his age in that. But I didn't pick Star Wars as one of my wild cards because I figured Mark would. So I did the next best thing and picked it for Raiders. So
that one was totally off my board until like probably about an hour before we got on. I'm like just looking like, oh fuck, yeah, Raiders was nominated for Best Picture. I would totally do that.
Yeah.
So Steven's your board shake out the way you wanted it to, or did you lose out on all your picks? Or
it did. I think there was one other wild card I had that I didn't end up needing to play, but it was Sixth Sense over the American Beauty, which was hard for me because I loved American Beauty. Like I thought it was a great film, but I think The Sixth Sense was just it was unique at the time. But here's the thing, like, I know that like there's just a lot of like Oscar friendly themes when it comes to films. And then so I can totally see why they would choose American Beauty over a film like The Sixth Sense. But I don't know. That was just one for me. Like, I just think it was cool, to have at the time a new director. That was the only other one I had. Like a wild card I had is The Sixth Sense over American Beauty.
Well, when you said that, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, It's a Shyamalan, one of Shyamalan's best movies. Like, after that, it kind of, I feel like Shyamalan was like up and down, up and down. But I think Sixth Sense was probably like partially peak for him. My favorite movie of his is Unbreakable, but like, yeah, no, that was a great movie for that year. And like Russ was saying, it's like it's a horror thriller movie, and they don't win like Silence of the Lambs does. So
Yeah,
I'm just a child actor. Like, I know, like, the fact that he was able to direct such a young person and just to have just such a, to me, an impactful role.
well,
But
you're right though.
Yeah.
Like the Academy seems to have like a formula that they follow. They seem to have kind of swayed away from it in recent years, but like I think that's partially why like The King's Speech beat The Social Network. Is because it was that historical formula, like, okay, this is a safe, good pick. We're not gonna like select the Facebook movie, even though the Social Network's easily one of the best movies of that decade. But yeah, that's a good point. Mark, your board shake out the way you wanted it to, or?
Yeah, I mean, you guys picked a lot of the ones that I had already. And I highlighted the stuff as I went. Nobody had Shape of Water. I don't know why. But then again,
because it fucking sucks.
It sucks.
But I mean, if I were to do a one that I would have brought up as far as a wild card in the 2010s, which we did too, was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I think that's the last few years, isn't it? Or
that was the year Parasite won. I don't know about that one. I'm a huge Once Upon a Time in Hollywood fan, but I don't know about it beating Parasite. Though.
Yeah, I liked it a lot better. I really did. I understand Parasite's like
appeal,
how good it was, but I liked Once Upon a Time much better.
Oh, I mean, hey, it's Tarantino is one of my all-time favorite directors. It's definitely upper echelon in his filmography, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Parasite was just something different. And I totally like completely expected that it would win because they never give those to foreign movies.
Right. Yeah.
But well, guys, I'm going to ask you, do you think this is something drafts something you want to revisit in the future or come back to?
Oh, yeah.
Or
yeah,
100%.
You get the category right. It works. This works for the Oscars, and it's very timely.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to do it. I didn't want to watch an
fun.
Oscar movie, so I figured this would be the next best thing.
Yeah.
When we do this again, Russ, you're going to need to watch all the other Oscar movies you didn't watch already. Okay?
No, this is
upgrade
a
your
one shot
profession.
deal. We will not revisit the best picture draft. This will not happen. Maybe we'll do a movie that we haven't done, but not.
Well, we have this current decade we can do in the next 5 years. See how that turns out. So
I don't know about I don't know about that one, dude. 2020 and 2021 are kind of rough.
We might be able to do a retelling of history, an alternate timeline, an alternate 1985, if you will, of Best Picture winners. So like we'll maybe next time we'll just go, okay, none of these won. We're gonna pick another movie that won, and then none of the winners can win the movie. So or win the award. So
I almost
I thought we were actually going to do this list too, and as far as the last few years.
Are you talking about the 2020s?
Yeah.
Well, we just haven't.
Yeah, there's not enough movies. I get that. So, I was looking at the list and like Nomadland. I watched it, but I'm like, oh my god,
it's boring.
Yeah, but I love Coda. That's a fantastic movie. As far as like a good family drama that like I would watch again easily. So
yeah, the pickings are kind of slim.
Yeah, everybody would pick Oppenheimer and Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's pretty much
it.
If that was the case, if we did this decade, Oppenheimer would have been my first round pick, just because the lack of choices.
Oppenheimer and the fact that it's Christopher Nolan.
Yep, perfect combination.
quality flick.
It definitely is. Well, guys, this was fun. Yeah, we will definitely revisit this, a draft at some point. Maybe we'll do like a superhero one or something like that. I don't know. We'll play around with it, but it was fun. Thanks for joining us.
You could probably do it by category, Russ. You could actually do an entire thing of horror movies based on decade.
Well,
I
let's
like
not
that
jump
idea.
ahead. Like, I still need to tinker with this format a bit.
Fair enough.
Tinker. We're still in the tinkering phase.
Gotta throw those ideas out though. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna wrap this one up, fellas. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever they're calling themselves now, Blue Sky. All those links are in the show description below. If you have a brief moment and you like what you heard here today, please take a quick moment, leave us 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. That does help us out immensely. No idea how much it helps us out. So we do appreciate you taking a brief moment to do that. So until next time, we will talk to you guys and gals later.